this point, I'd like to invite one of my favorite people in the world, Afia Salam,
Oh God.
to take on and do her presentation. Afia, Saiba.
Thank you very much. And I've got just 2 or 3 slides with the text, and I've got more pictures because just this past week I've been traveling in places which do not present the picture that generally people are able to see of another Pakistan. A Pakistan that is so far removed from the things that we have been speaking about, hearing about, and where disease and illness and deprivation and just total marginalization take over anything. And that pandemic seems to be something from another planet, happening to people of another planet, because the planet that these people are living on, they have, it's so totally far removed from that. So can we just move to the next slide? So when the pandemic hit, now these are the things that all of us, we were living, eating, breathing these things. We were told that these are the SOPs and this is the only way to keep ourselves safe. Frequent hand washing, the first one. Sanitization, yes, everybody, I think people had more alcohol, their hands had more alcohol than they were, the systems had otherwise in their whole life. Face coverings, of course, the masks. Social distancing, people said maybe the better term would have been physical distancing, maybe because we got more socially connected through platforms like we are connected on right now. Then when the vaccine was discovered, rather invented, so vaccination, and if you did catch the virus, then of course to isolate yourself. And then I go into these areas and I'm stumped, that how are all of any of these things, I mean even if I want to take just one of them, how do you implement them over there? So can you go on to the next slide please? So all I have are these images. Now these women, and this is one of a very modern facility, this is a reverse osmosis plant in the desert of Tharparkar. And because there is a very, very clear water and women nexus, so there is absolutely no question of women not being there in a big group and taking water. So they cannot be covered, they cannot isolate themselves, they cannot maintain any kind of social distancing. They obviously cannot sanitize, and the water that they are carrying from there, you may be looking at so many these drums, canisters, whatever you want to call them, but these are enough just for a few hours because the households are large, and these canisters contain water which have to be given to the livestock, for the children, for cooking, for washing, for washing the utensils, washing the clothes, for personal hygiene. So with this, the number of the items on the checklist, frequent hand washing just falls by the wayside. So this is one image. Can we go to the next one? Now these are the number of people, and these are only because I was sitting in one corner and I could only point my phone. These are those round houses there in Tharparkar which are called chauras, and these are the only people I could fit into one frame. There were just about as many sitting on the other side as well, and those are the normal number of residents of one household. So where do you isolate if somebody gets ill? How do you maintain physical or social distancing? So these are just some images that I want people to keep in mind when we offer or pose those solutions, or which were there for the thing. The other picture is of a bazaar in a small town. Look at the proximity of the shops. They are very small shops. Some are, and if they don't go there, if those fruit vendors and other vendors are not standing outside, where is the livelihood? Who is going to feed them? So they go there and they are exposed to all kinds of risks, even otherwise, not just the COVID risk, but all kinds of risk of any other disease is there, and they don't have a way out. So, the topic is SDG-6, which is not just about water, it is about wash, sanitation as well. So, we did the W, we will do the S. That little thing over there you see is the common sort of toilet of the entire village, and it's only those who want to go there for privacy who get to go there. Otherwise, you can see the open fields, that's where most of the people go to relieve themselves. So, open defecation, we I think are the number 2 country in the world. So, there is no surprise why, because there is very, very little attention or resources that have been put into the the bracket of sanitation. Next, there you have it. I mean, this is the kind of living they have. These small buckets. You can see a small green thing. If you see over there, that is called a roller, which the organization I volunteer with. We provided them to some communities over there. They were small in numbers, so we decided to give them to the woman living farthest from a watering hole, a woman who was elderly and a pregnant, because no matter what age you are, no matter what state you are in, state of health you are in, or you have to go and fetch water. So, that again is a burden that women bear rather. So, we try to sort of lessen just the physical burden, the social burden is still there. And with this kind of a burden, there's again there's no chance that these people can do anything when COVID comes calling. They don't even know what COVID is and whether it did come calling over there. So, there is no tracking of the virus into these kind of communities. You don't know who is dying of what. You don't know whether they died of COVID or they died of something else. So, these are the harsh realities we should also. Now, these are the rural areas, the hinterland of Karachi and the pure rural areas. Next slide. This is Karachi. This is a locality called Punjab Colony, which is right next to what many in the media like to call posh. I don't know the definition of posh. These tiny, crowded lanes, small, these tall buildings, crowded lanes, dark alleys do not offer you a chance for isolation, for distancing. You do not really get drinking water or any other water in enough quantity to be able to put in place all the SOPs that were, shared with everybody and anybody. Next. This again is another Karachi locality. I showed you one next to the posh locality. The other one is a mushroom growth, because where is the housing? Where is the planned housing? You don't see it anywhere. And in this kind of living conditions, if really the disease or the virus becomes so it's a pandemic, yes. But we really don't know the magnitude or the extent of how many people it has gulped, because who is testing, who is tracking who died of what. As I said about the rural area, it's the same about the informal localities of Pakistan, and Karachi has some of the largest. I mean, 60% of Karachi lives in these kind of localities. So, any kind of SOPs maybe you can lock them down, yes, with the SOPs. You can have the rangers stand outside the lanes or the exit and entry points, but that's just about it. Everybody else is then crowded in one small room. So, if there is a COVID patient, so be it. I mean, the entire household is exposed.